The MSR Expedition helmet is a MIPS-equipped, budget-friendly ADV helmet that retails for $180. That is $50 cheaper than other entry-level adventure helmets like the Bell MX-9, and a far cry from the $700+ for top-of-the-line stuff like the showy Hornet here. But does it still protect your noggin, or are you sacrificing essential safety to save a few bucks? Let's talk about it. Also, stick around because we're going to talk about an opportunity to support essential life-saving research thanks to an organization dedicated to the memory of one of the youngest members of our community. So let's start by talking helmet specs. The MSR Expedition ADV Helmet has an aerodynamic polyalloy plastic shell that's designed for lightweight and strength. It has MIPS technology between the comfort foam and the EPS liner. This is an important feature. MIPS stands for Multi-Directional Impact Protection System. And what it is a layer of material that allows just slightly more rotation when you have a rotational impact. That is, when you hit an uneven surface and your head twists. It's sort of like the fluid inside your brain that cushions it against sudden impacts. MIPS is specifically designed to help prevent the types of injuries that we see most often when we're riding on technical terrain and likely to hit our heads on uneven surfaces. The helmet has a compound curved, scratch-resistant, and optically correct face shield with an anti-fog coating. The shield is removable, so you can do open-face riding or use goggles. Goggles can also be worn in conjunction with the face shield if you just flip it up. It has 11 points of ventilation, force cooling air through the interior. It has 5 intakes and 6 exhaust vents, and a high air velocity chin bar with dirt filtering synthetic and metal mesh. The chin bar vent is more MX style than some of the adventure helmets that I've seen. It flows a lot of air. The visor on top is removable, the liner inside is washable and removable, and this helmet meets the ECE 2205 standard. That is not on the box because just before it came out, the rules changed in 2024, and you have to meet the 2206 standard in order to get the certification on the box. But I have heard it directly from Rocky Mountain. This helmet meets the old ECE 2205 standard, so it is more stringent than just the DOT standard. This helmet comes in 7 colorways. It weighs 3 pounds 11 ounces, so it's lighter than the $700 showy Hornet. Retails for $180, and the Rocky Mountain ATV fit guarantee applies, so that if you get one and it doesn't fit, they will pay for shipping your old helmet back and the new one to you to replace it one time so you can get the sizing correct, because you can't go to a store and try it on, so it's really cool that they do that. So what do I like about this helmet? Well, the safety rating that exceeds the DOT requirement is 1. I don't like to ride with DOT helmets. The standard is lax and not well enforced, so I always look for a helmet that has some other certification, whether that's ECE, Sharp, Snell, something like that. I don't like the just basic DOT only helmets, and if you look at them, they're always cheap and they just don't feel confidence inspiring, so I like that this meets the ECE 2205 standard. So there's no bevel around the bottom edge of the helmet like there is on some other helmets. So when you pop it open, just like one click to get just some airflow going through it, you don't have this ridge of not see-throughable stuff. It's still pretty clear and very, very useful. I also think the detents are very solid on this helmet, and it's pretty useful, kind of just barely open setting that flows a ton of air to the visor without freezing your face. And then there's a couple other options, and it opens wide enough to use goggles, so pretty cool. There are various color choices and 2 designs. So this is the busier of the 2 designs, but there's also one that's basically just a solid color if you want something a little bit less flashy, a little bit more just plain. There are several colors that really complement the look of the Voyager and Explorer gear from MSR. Obviously that's intentional. Just know if you're trying to match that gear, you can buy one of these helmets and it's going to look like you did it on purpose, which is important sometimes if you're into that kind of thing. It's a good helmet for a low price. It's a great first helmet because it's inexpensive, but it's also a great kind of additional helmet, bonus helmet. It's cheap enough to take a chance on, see if you like it, see if it works for you, even if you're not going to wear it all the time. And it's perfectly comfortable with glasses and sunglasses both. I did both in Death Valley. I wore this helmet for 3 days in Death Valley. Admittedly, those were both Flying Eyes glasses and sunglasses, so thicker, less flexible glasses may not be as good, but I had 0 issues with them while I was riding with this helmet. And speaking of 0 issues with goggles, my favorite thing about this helmet, and the thing that sets it apart from other helmets I've used, is airflow. We did 3 days in Death Valley, and deserts aren't just hot, FYI. It was low 40s every morning when we left, so 5 or 6 degrees Celsius. We rode on the highway and we rode the more technical stuff slower on the trails and dirt roads and in the desert, and I had no fogging at all. Like the helmet stayed perfectly clear, both with it cracked and closed. And I'm talking both at highway speeds and while riding on the trails at slower speeds, working hard, breathing heavy. And I had my glasses on underneath. So if you wear glasses with the helmet, you know that not only do you have to worry about fogging up your helmet, but fogging up your glasses is a thing too. This thing flows more air than just about any helmet I've ever used. It's very MX helmet-like in that airflow category. When it heated up, I was wearing it visor closed on the rough, slow stuff. Normally, I can't do that. I feel like I'm suffocating. There's a lot of carbon dioxide inside my helmet. I don't feel the airflow coming through, but I did 2 straight days with that visor closed, with my glasses on, riding in the slow stuff. 0 issues whatsoever. So I'm just super impressed with the airflow. If there's a distinguishing feature of this helmet, at least in my experience, it's probably the best airflow of any adventure style helmet I've used. And that's saying something for a helmet that only cost $180. But it isn't perfect, and with the low price point, there are gonna be some cons. Probably the most noticeable one is that it has like a weird creaking kind of rubbing noise. It sounds and feels like the lid on a styrofoam cooler, which makes sense because you have the MIPS layer, it's a plastic layer in there, rubbing on the foam, the EPS foam of your helmet. It feels like that because that's exactly what it is, but it does kind of give the helmet a sort of cheap and kind of noisy feeling to it. That's a price you pay for MIPS. In most cases, I have a Xpedition helmet that's the same way, but just know it definitely is a little different experience than a helmet without that MIPS liner. The vent controls feel super cheap and chintzy to me. The helmet's not pin lock ready. They don't make dark visor, so this is the only visor you can use unless you just take it off and wear goggles. There are no speaker cutouts inside the helmet. There's holes in the comfort liner for speakers, so you can technically put them in, but it's not recessed like a lot of other helmets are, and it's loud as hell. That's probably the biggest downside. So I said it flows a ton of air. It does, but you cannot ride this on the highway without earplugs. It will destroy your hearing. It is very loud because of all of that airflow. So before I tell you my final thoughts on the helmet, I want to bring your attention to an organization that I think is very worthy of your support. This holiday season, I want to make you aware of a very special charity that was founded in memory of a member of our community. The Zain Justis Foundation was founded by Matt and Linnea Justis to honor their son Zain, who faced pediatric cancer with remarkable courage and strength and grace. During countless hours in the hospital, Zain was inspired by the Long Way Round series. At the end of his life, Zain's Make-A-Wish gift was a new motorcycle, symbolizing his desire for freedom and adventure. Since his passing, Matt and Linnea have honored Zain's legacy through their annual ride, The Extra Mile. Together, they ride across hundreds of miles to raise awareness for pediatric cancer, connecting with the motorcycle community along the way. Throughout the course of this annual fundraising event, Matt and Linnea have raised tens of thousands of dollars and spoken to thousands of people they've met along the way about motorcycle traveling, Zain's story, and their mission. The foundation has pledged $150,000 over 3 years to support Dr. Roth's research at Weill Cornell Medicine, focusing on genome sequencing for Zain's specific cancer type. This research could improve treatment options and outcomes for children and families affected by rare cancers, as well as predict which patients are more likely to relapse at the time of diagnosis. You can support the Zain Justis Foundation by donating, following the foundation on social media, and sharing posts to increase awareness. The ZJF is a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization and provides tax donation receipts for all donations. Zain was very close to the age that my daughter is now when he passed. I can't imagine how heartbreaking and awful it must have been for that family to have gone through that. I am so impressed with the family's determination to move forward and throw their time and energy into doing everything they can to prevent other families from having to go through what they experienced. So if you're looking to donate some money at the end of the year, or really any time, I would encourage you to pop over to the ZainJustisFoundation.org. There's a link in the description. Donate, as I have done, to the foundation to help support this very important work in memory of one of the youngest members of our community tragically taken from us far too soon. Link in the description. And now, helmet things. So what is my final conclusion after a few months and a bunch of miles on this MSR Expedition ADV helmet? Well, if you've seen any other review of mine of Rocky Mountain gear, you're going to be able to predict what I'm about to say. Like all Rocky Mountain ATV gear, it is solid and budget friendly. It manages to do both. It's a great first helmet. If you're aware of its limitations, it's a great place to get started. If you need a good helmet that won't break the bank to get out and try off-road riding, try adventure riding, even dual sport and trail riding, this helmet would be great for that. It has safety features that punch much above its weight class, having that MIPS liner in there is such a bonus, and it can really save you from a concussion if you get into a collision with the ground unexpectedly in an unscheduled dismount. The helmet is very comfortable. I usually get a pressure point right here on my forehead with pretty much any helmet that I wear. This one, I did not have that pressure point the whole time, all the days I was riding it. It's a comfortable helmet that feels solid, except for the weird cheap feeling vents, and it is an excellent overall value for the money. It really is. If you understand that you're getting a less expensive, less feature-rich helmet, it's a great value for the dollar. I honestly think this is the perfect helmet for a couple of very specific scenarios. If you spend more than half of your time on the highway, skip it. It's too loud. This is true of all budget helmets. My MX-9 is also super loud, but if you're gonna do a lot of highway riding, get something a little bit more expensive and a little bit quieter. But I think this is a fantastic helmet for adventure rallies and short trips close to home, and or anywhere where you're gonna like drive out, trailer out, and base camp while riding out from a central location. So you're gonna spend most of your time in the woods, off the road, in the desert, whatever, where you need more airflow. And sometime on the highway, it's fine for me. It is plenty safe for highway riding sometimes. If I'm gonna be going 80 miles an hour all day, I'd like to be in something that's a little quieter. The airflow is stellar, and honestly, unlike anything else I've used, I've never been able to run in desert temps with the visor down and not feel like I'm suffocating before. It's great for slow technical riding because of the airflow. The MIPS tech makes you even more protected on slow technical stuff. It's also cheap enough to be like a good backup helmet, and or one that you want to set up differently than your long haul helmet. Maybe you want to have one that you take the visor off more frequently, or you want to run a different communication setup, or you don't want a communication setup. You want to optimize light helmet with as little stuff on it as possible. This is a great second helmet to set up that way, or you just wanted another color, or you want it to match your gear. It's a great helmet. It's an inexpensive helmet, and its only real limitation, in my opinion, is that it's just way too loud to wear on the highway for long periods of time. So have you tried out the MSR Expedition helmet? Let us know your thoughts and feelings in the comments. Obviously, I'll put a link to both the Zain Justis Foundation, which I would encourage you to at least pop over, check out the site, check out their social media, follow them on social media, even if you can't donate right now. I'll put affiliate links to this helmet if you want to check it out. If you decide to buy one, that supports the channel great. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. Merry Christmas, and I wish you all the greatest and happiest, best new year possible in 2025. But for now, and as always, I just want to say thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!